4 common shoulder joint diseases in the elderly. No early to avoid. Hello there, my friend. May I ask, how are your shoulders feeling today? Do you wake up some mornings with stiffness that makes even brushing your hair feel like a task? Have you found yourself avoiding lifting certain things? Not because you can't, but because you might pay for it later with hours of aching? If you nodded, even just a little, I want you to know something important right from the start. You're not alone, and it's not just in your head. As a health professional who has walked this path with thousands of patients in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond, I've seen how shoulder pain often creeps in silently. One day, it's just a twinge. The next, it's a tightening. And before long, something so simple, like reaching up to grab a plate or wrap your arms around someone you love, can feel impossible. That's why today, I want to talk with you, not just give you medical facts, but truly talk with you about a part of your body that carries more weight than we often realize. Your shoulders. These joints aren't just muscles and bones. They carry your strength, your independence, your ability to hold your grandchildren, cook your favorite meal, or even drive to visit a friend. And yet shoulder conditions in older adults are among the most underreported, misunderstood, and often delayed in treatment. But here's the good news. Most shoulder diseases start small, and when we catch them early, we can avoid the worst. With the right knowledge, care, and just a little bit of consistency, you can protect your shoulders for life. In this video, we're going to look closely at 4 common shoulder joint diseases that often affect people over 50. You'll learn how to spot them early, what symptoms you should never ignore, and what real steps you can take today, not next week, to keep your arms moving and your life thriving. Because you deserve more than just to manage pain. You deserve to live freely, move fully, and hold the people and moments that matter, without hesitation. So stay with me. This could change how you move through the next decade of your life. And more importantly, how you feel in it. Let's begin. Part 1. Rotator Cuff Tear. The silent thief of motion. Let me take you back to a moment I've seen many times in my clinic. A man in his early 60s sits across from me, a slight grimace on his face as he rotates his arm. "It's nothing," he says. "Just old age, doc." It'll pass. But it doesn't. And what started as a minor twinge now wakes him up at 2 a.m., robbing him of rest, of strength, and slowly, of joy. What he didn't realize is that the rotator cuff, a small but mighty group of muscles and tendons surrounding the shoulder joint, was crying out for attention. As we age, the tendons of the rotator cuff weaken. Years of lifting groceries, playing tennis, or simply reaching for something in the back seat build up wear and tear. Sometimes, it's a sudden injury, a fall, a misjudged reach. But more often, it's the accumulation of time that causes tiny tears, eventually snowballing into something more serious. What are the signs? You notice pain when lifting your arm, especially overhead. You struggle to put on a shirt or reach behind your back. There's a dull ache at night, and sleeping on the affected side becomes unbearable. You feel a strange weakness, almost like your arm doesn't belong to you anymore. I recall Mrs. L, a vibrant woman who taught piano. She loved to play with her grandkids. But slowly, she stopped lifting them. She smiled less. She started playing only with one hand. When she came in, the diagnosis was clear: a full-thickness rotator cuff tear. But we didn't let the story end there. With proper therapy, patience, and targeted strengthening, she's now back to her joyful self, fingers dancing on the keys. Treatment can vary. Physical therapy to restore strength and range, anti-inflammatory medication, or gentle corticosteroid injections. In severe cases, surgery may be needed, but recovery, especially when caught early, is often excellent. Prevention is key. If you're over 50, shoulder health must become a daily ritual. Start small. Gentle stretching every morning. Strengthen shoulder stabilizers with resistance bands. Don't ignore the first signs. Pain is not weakness. It's a message. Your rotator cuff may be small, but it's one of the most powerful protectors of your freedom. Don't let it suffer in silence. Part 2. Frozen shoulder. Adhesive Capsulitis. When your shoulder says no. Imagine this. One day, you're reaching for your seatbelt, and your shoulder says, no. Not with a sharp pain, but a slow, stubborn refusal. You try again, and it resists. Before long, you can't even raise your arm to wave goodbye. Welcome to the world of frozen shoulder, one of the most frustrating conditions I've encountered in patients over 50, especially women. And unlike a rotator cuff tear, this one sneaks in quietly, with no clear injury. Frozen shoulder happens when the capsule surrounding your shoulder joint thickens and tightens. It's as if your body is locking down a part of you, without your permission. There are 3 distinct phases of frozen shoulder. Freezing phase. Pain slowly increases, and movement starts to decline. Frozen phase. Pain may lessen, but stiffness becomes severe. Thawing phase. Gradual return of motion over months, sometimes years. Symptoms to watch for. Difficulty reaching overhead, behind your back, or to the side. Pain that worsens at night, disrupting your sleep. A stiffness that feels deep and immovable, unlike muscular tightness. Mrs. Anna, a retired seamstress, once told me, "I feel like my shoulder's been locked in a closet, and I lost the key." But she found it again, not through quick fixes, but through commitment to healing. Her recovery involved heat therapy to loosen tissues, gentle, progressive stretches with a physical therapist, pain management to get her through the worst days, daily rituals, hot showers, arm slides on the wall, and breathing through discomfort. This is a condition that demands patience, but it rewards consistency. And here's something beautiful. Your body wants to heal. It's designed to thaw what's frozen. But you must give it time, support, and movement. If you're experiencing what feels like a shoulder that's shutting down, don't wait. The sooner we begin working with it, not against it, the faster we can guide your arm back into motion and your life back into ease. Part 3. Osteoarthritis of the shoulder, the wearing away of time. If you've ever felt like your shoulder is rusting from the inside out, where every motion feels stiff, gritty, or just worn down, you may be experiencing something very common: shoulder osteoarthritis. This isn't sudden. It doesn't announce itself with a scream. It's quiet, gradual, and in many ways, inevitable. Osteoarthritis is what happens when the smooth cartilage that cushions your shoulder joint wears away and bone starts rubbing against bone. Over time, the joint becomes inflamed, the range of motion shrinks, and pain becomes part of your daily rhythm. So how does it feel? Dull, deep aches in the shoulder, especially after activity. A grinding or clicking sensation when moving the arm. Stiffness in the morning or after sitting still too long. Sometimes pain that radiates down the arm or up toward the neck. You might be someone like Mr. James, a 72-year-old who used to love gardening. He once told me he could prune an entire hedge without even blinking. But lately, he found that just holding a watering can made his shoulder ache for hours. When we looked at his scans, the cartilage was almost gone. But here's the good news. Even with advanced wear, you still have choices. Depending on the severity, treatment can range from physical therapy to maintain mobility and strengthen surrounding muscles. Anti-inflammatory medications or joint injections for pain relief. Supplements like glucosamine and chondroitin. Talk to your doctor first. In severe cases, shoulder replacement surgery, which has helped many seniors regain independence and pain-free movement. And let's talk about daily care, because the little things matter. Support your shoulder with proper posture, especially if you work at a desk. Avoid heavy lifting or repetitive overhead motions. Stick to a joint-friendly diet rich in omega-3s and antioxidants. Your shoulder feels what you eat. Remember, osteoarthritis isn't a sign you're breaking down. It's a message that your body needs new rhythms, gentler ones, smarter ones. With the right care, you can still lift, reach, garden, hug, just differently, just wisely. Part 4. Shoulder impingement syndrome. When your tendons get trapped, now let's talk about something that feels like a pinch: literally. Have you ever tried to reach behind your back or lift your arm to the side and suddenly felt a sharp, stabbing pain, as if something got caught? You may be dealing with a condition known as shoulder impingement syndrome. This happens when the space between the top of your shoulder blade and the upper arm bone becomes too narrow. As a result, your rotator cuff tendons get compressed, or impinged, every time you move your arm in certain ways. It's not just painful, it's frustrating. Why? Because this pain doesn't wait for big movements. It can hit when you try to zip up your dress or reach for a belt. You raise your arm to grab a cup from the shelf, or simply when you stretch while waking up. This condition is incredibly common in seniors, especially those who have spent decades in jobs or routines that involve overhead motion. Hairdressers, painters, even frequent swimmers. But one of the sneakiest culprits is something we often overlook: poor posture. As we age, the shoulders tend to roll forward. Gravity pulls us down. The chest tightens, the back weakens, and the space in your shoulder joint, it shrinks. Your tendons don't have room to breathe, Mrs. Clara, a former librarian, once told me she couldn't even hang a curtain anymore without feeling a burning pain shoot through her arm. She assumed she was just getting old. But after a thorough evaluation, it was clear. She wasn't weak. Her tendons were just trapped. So what can we do? Treatment starts with space. Physical therapy focused on posture correction, shoulder blade control, and stretching. Anti-inflammatory care, either natural or medical. Specific exercises like wall crawls, pendulum swings, and scapular retractions. Avoiding activities that cause repeated strain until healing begins. And don't underestimate your posture at the kitchen table, watching TV or using your phone. Straighten up, pull your shoulders back. Open your chest. This is more than just an old-school command. It's a lifeline for your shoulders. Impingement is reversible. It doesn't have to steal your motion or your peace of mind. But like everything else in this stage of life, it responds to respect, awareness, and small daily choices. Conclusion. Let me ask you one final time today. How are your shoulders really doing? Not just right now, but over the past week, the past month. Are they aching quietly while you push through your day? Do you sometimes avoid certain motions, not because you can't do them, but because deep down, you're worried about the pain that might follow? If that's you, please know, my friend, you're not alone, and you're not powerless. We've walked through 4 of the most common shoulder conditions in older adults. Rotator cuff tears, which rob us of strength quietly. Frozen shoulder, which steals our motion little by little. Osteoarthritis, the slow erosion of freedom over time. And impingement, a painful trap that limits the simplest tasks. But each of these, every single one, is manageable, preventable, or treatable when caught early. And more importantly, none of them are a life sentence. Here's what I want you to remember above all. Pain is not something you're meant to suffer in silence. Stiffness is not a punishment for age. It's a message asking for care. And healing is always possible when we listen, act, and stay consistent. You see, your shoulders don't just move your arms. They move your life. They hold grandchildren. They wrap around your loved ones. They lift you up when you need to reach higher, not just physically, but emotionally too. You deserve to move without fear. You deserve to rest without pain. You deserve to reach, to hug, to dance, to wave, to live, with strength and dignity. So today, I invite you to do something simple but powerful. Start listening to your shoulders. Give them 5 minutes of movement each day. Give them warmth, rest, and when needed, support from a trusted medical professional. And above all, give yourself the grace to heal. If this video has spoken to you in any way, I encourage you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone you care about. Start a conversation. Ask your doctor. Ask your spouse. Ask yourself, what can I do today that my shoulders will thank me for tomorrow? Because your story isn't finished, and neither is your movement. This is your body, your life, and your time. Let's keep it moving, together. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video.